Hello, everyone. I'm Christy Thiel, Director of Education at CBD System and your host. Hemp Your Health is a show, an educational and informational show, and we bring on experts that share their wisdom, their intelligence, and their experience for the betterment of humans, animals, plants, and the planet. Everything I say on this show is not meant to treat or diagnose illnesses. So check that off and rolling forward because we have an incredible intention for this show. And this is something that makes my heart sing. So, the intention of today's show is to remind you that learning changes mindsets. And then when it comes to hemp, CBD, and cannabis, openness, expansion, and change can be at your fingertips. And today's guest is a pioneer, leader, and visionary, and he has set the foundation for change, progress, and a paradigm shift in health and healing. It is my honor and great joy to introduce to you Rick Diamond. Rick Diamond is the founder of the CBD Training Academy. Hey, Rick. I know it's so
Hey,
hard to keep quiet, isn't it? Rick is the founder of the CBD Training Academy, where he works with an amazing team of educators. And they leap forward and take on this new paradigm of teaching health and all things CBD. He has been the CEO of 3 healthcare tech startups and was the co-founder and CEO of a leading training company where they focused on digital marketing and social media. He is also an advisor to many CBD and wellness startups through the Inner Circle Accelerator program. I am part of this. And for anyone out there who wants to grow your business, network, be held accountable, and have homework, I highly suggest you check this out because you will get stuff done. And even more importantly, is the monumental mission that the CBD Training Academy has taken on. Their mission is to train over 10,000 wellness practitioners and practitioners and professionals, and to change the health and life of over 100 million people worldwide through health and wellness and the use of cannabinoid therapy. Huge. My heart is so expansive just knowing something like this, and you are out there. Welcome, Rick.
thanks,
How,
Christy.
how are you today?
I'm great. That's so nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me and such a nice introduction. I'm like, who is that guy she's talking about? So, looking forward to our time together.
Me too. And thank you, because this is really important to me. I think of myself as an educator, and I strive constantly to be a teacher because people get stuck in some stigmatism or that they can't change or that health is in this tiny little groove. And what you're doing is really improving and expanding these boundaries of what health, healing, and prevention is,
For sure.
which I
Yeah, I think that education in this industry, in many industries, but this one in particular, because of those stigmas and because of the complex nature of cannabinoids, it's so important. People just don't know that they're confused, and the FDA hasn't given us proper guidance. And there's the DEA and the USDA, and so it's confusing regulatory from a regulatory perspective, but also from a plant perspective, and how much to take, when to take it, how often to take it. It's just there's a lot of questions people have. So education is definitely key in this industry.
and speaking of education, when you took this on, this is not a light mission. In fact, I'd say that you went full speed ahead into uncharted territories with many more unknowns than knowns So let's start with your why. Why CBD and why education?
So I think that's a great place to start, and it's a great question. And for those of your guests who have never read the book by Simon Sinek, start with why. Google it. You can get a 5-minute summary for free. Yeah, my why is pretty simple. As you pointed out, our mission is to really train the trainer. And thankfully, we've been very successful in getting the word out. We've had over 5,000 people come through our training programs over the past 3.5 years. And so it is an exciting time. It's a global opportunity. And so I'd say that really it's about up-leveling the industry. How I got into the industry, I think that everybody has their own personal story. I hope you do. If you don't have a story, you need to get one,
Yeah.
because stories sell and facts tell. Don't ever forget that. Those of you that are in marketing or trying to sell anything, tell stories. Our story is very simple. One of my children was on big pharma medication, and one morning, every morning I would cook them breakfast and serve up, one of these pills. And one day I said, I think I'm going to take one of these. And so down the hatch, I took one of his meds, and I said to myself, "Oh my goodness, this is not something we can be serving our child." And
Wow.
so I consulted with my wife, and I said, "Hey, listen, we need to find a more natural alternative. This is too intense. If it's affecting me, and I was like twice the body weight, it's affecting me, then it's definitely affecting him." And so she did some research on some mommy blogs and found CBD. And of course, everybody had heard about cannabis in general, marijuana, but CBD was kind of new at the time, and it was beginning to take hold. And so, after we started giving him some CBD, after about a month, we got him off this big pharma meds.
Wow.
So I
Wow.
was just amazed myself.
How old was he when you made this leap?
12.
12.
Yeah.
That is really something. I wonder if a lot of parents have even considered taking one of their kids' prescriptions just to see how it affects them. It would probably be another paradigm shift. Do you feel like that was almost like grace moving through you, like one of those divine instances where like you get this flash and
Yeah.
it changed your life, it
It
changed his
did.
life.
It did. And I'm a big believer in that. Everything in my entire life has led up to this moment. Christy, I'm supposed to be here with you right now. And so, yeah, I think that was definitely, whatever, divine intervention.
Yeah.
And, so after we had some success there, my wife said, "Hey, why don't we start a side hustle and spin up a brand?" And I said, "Well, let me take a look at the industry, because I really don't know the industry that well." And so I started doing some, competitive research out there, and I saw there were lots of brands. And ultimately, a lot of the education, I tried to, get as much knowledge as possible. A lot of the education ended up driving towards somebody wanting to sell me a product. And that made me kind of concerned that that education was biased towards selling their product. And so, I mean, we all know this, right? Most of us have either gone to, some sort of school or college or whatever, or taken online courses. And when you take an online course that is product agnostic, then you feel more comfortable that, oh,
Yeah.
they're not just trying to sell me. And so that was how the concept was basically born, was that I decided that I didn't think that the industry needed another brand at the time. Since then, I felt like that the industry could use plenty more brands, good ones. Um, but I felt like what the industry needed most at the time was a scientifically validated, medically validated
Mhm.
body of knowledge. And that's what we started and have created at the Academy, CBD Training Academy.
Yeah, I am really impressed with the caliber and the level of instructors that you have. They are top notch. They come from amazing education and deep roots in academics, and they know their stuff. You're not just bringing on, someone who's sold CBD for 5 years to talk about, its benefits, you are bringing on legit medical practitioners, scientists, researchers, experts. And I think that just, it speaks volumes for how well the curriculum is, and how it just walks you through so that you can really leave with confidence. You can even take one class, which we'll get to some of your favorite ones, and have a lot more confidence.
Sure. Yeah,
So
thanks. Um,
yeah.
I was just going to say that how we kind of got started was we partnered with a double board certified surgeon who helped us start the original curriculum. And he had been to Israel and studied with Meshulam. He, had an MD license. And so he'd worked with over 5,000 patients one-on-one over a period of 10 years with both medical marijuana and then, more recently with CBD. And so he was just really an important catalyst and, um, person that really helped us develop this initial curriculum.
Well, he's definitely contributed to an incredible reputation for the training academy. I learned CBD Training Academy. I learned about your training academy through our team member, Michael Motti. And I remember like, hey, would you give me your password? I'd just like to check this out. And the very first course I watched, I was like, I've been studying this for a long time, and I was learning stuff in that very first episode. I'm like, this is so cool. Plus, I think as practitioners, and even just retail, whatever business you're in, if you're dealing with customers, it's important to find 10 different ways to say the same thing, because we don't always hear the same thing the same way. And that was one of the things I've been getting out of your courses, is just new ways to say the same thing so that we can all reach more people. We can make it complicated, we can go deep, we can keep it simple, but you give us those tools to talk
For
and
sure. Yeah, I think that
explain.
that's critically important. It's very nuanced. This industry, is challenging because of the gray area in which we operate, and not being able to make medical claims. Like, in the beginning, you said that, basically your disclaimer, and every manufacturer, distributor, retailer has to be very careful what they say, how they say it, those types of things. And so we highly recommend that, as I know that you're well aware of this, but that you always refer people to their physician to consult with them before they start a new supplement or a new CBD routine, those types of things. But the reality is what's happening in this industry. And I think that anybody that's in the industry knows this, anybody that's taking CBD, this, is that people are walking into retail stores and they're asking someone behind the counter basically for medical advice. I've got a bad shoulder and I haven't been able to get it better. What do you recommend? Then they pull out tinctures and transdermal patch and gummies, and now they're dispensing with medical advice. I mean, basically. And
Yeah.
so we have to be careful as an industry, and I know we'll talk about this later, but this is definitely one of the biggest risks in the industry, is too many people giving too much medical advice.
Absolutely. And not having well referenced, it's one thing if you can reference something and say, this is where it's coming from, this is the doctor, blah, blah, blah. But just to like off the cuff. And luckily, the good thing about hemp and CBD is that it's so safe and so versatile. The worst thing you're going to do is give someone a headache, or, make them take a long nap.
Right.
Which is really good. But I agree, we need more education. So let's lead into the next question, which, who's getting educated? Like, who are your ideal students? Do you educate the consumer, businesses, newbies, or are you looking for pros that are looking for a way to maybe get industry credentials?
So it's really all of those, all of the above. However, I will say that probably, like the Pareto principle, 80-20, I'd say probably 80% of our client base is someone who is either in the business or getting in the business. So, and that may be a retailer, could be a manufacturer, it could be um, a healthcare practitioner, whether it be a traditional, nurse or PA or MD, who they're getting a lot of questions from their patients and they just don't have the answers, or many of the alternative care practitioners, like a massage therapist or a physical therapist or a chiro or a nutritionist or a personal trainer. They're all getting questions from their clients or patients about CBD. And so we have, programs that can help to get them educated. And so we do have corporate training. So some companies will come to us and say, hey, we've got, 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 employees. And so we do have, programs designed for, companies, and then, lots of different programs for healthcare practitioners. And then a small percentage of people that come to our, website or that join the academy are consumers just looking to learn about CBD, the basics, or maybe a specific health condition, CBD for gut health or CBD for seniors, or, maybe someone who's a caregiver for an elderly parent or something like that. Plenty of those people come through as well.
And I love too that you've added on business and marketing, because let's say you know how to talk about this because you've taken some of your courses, you have some references, you've gotten your information from reputable doctors and scientists, but then you don't know how to market and you don't know the business. You also have courses so that you kind of cover from A to Z, how to talk, business. So how, like, what kind of, can you share a little bit about the business and marketing courses too? Because your roots are also in marketing.
Yeah, they are. That's right. And what we found, of course, with this industry exploding, and in 2000, I just wrote down the statistics. In 2019, the Farm Bill was signed in December of 2018 by the president. December of 2018. In the year 2019, there were over $4 billion in sales of CBD products.
Jeez.
And surprisingly, um, 2020, which, I mean, I think that we all know what happened last year, which was not much. But the industry still grew, and there were almost 5 billion in sales, and now it's projected to be 16 billion by 2025. That's all from the Brightfield Group. All those statistics are available and sourced right on their website. And they're a great market research firm, the Brightfield Group. But so what we found was that there were lots of companies jumping into the industry, trying to get on board and take a piece of that multi-billion-dollar pie. And then what happened was there was just so many different companies that it became difficult to differentiate between, well, what's the difference between this CBD and that CBD and this company and that? And so we found that there were a lot of people that would come through our CBD fundamentals courses, and then they would either be in the business or get into the business, and they were struggling with how they could actually make a difference and get in front of more customers and market their products and services. And so that's when we then kind of saw that, okay, we really need to develop CBD specific marketing and sales related courses and business related courses. And also that's why we started the Inner Circle, the accelerator program for, those people that wanted to take, the next step. They come through our fundamentals training, they do some of our business training, and then they see that, oh, here's an accelerator program where there's more hands-on mentoring and working with others. And so that's kind of really why we launched the marketing and business courses, was because there's a need, and there still is a need. I mean, I talk to people, quite often about the challenges associated with differentiating themselves in the marketplace, and how do we get customers and how do we keep them, and those kinds of things.
I love that you understand the challenges of a startup, because there are so many. This is bigger than just selling CBD. And so many times a startup has to wear all the hats, and they can come to you, in my opinion, to really understand those roles and how to be successful with all those hats. If you don't have a whole team, if it's just you and a few people, and you really want to know how to grow your audience or do a better job reaching them or communicating with them, and not getting yourself in trouble with all these claims and false advertising. It's, I
For
think it's
sure.
easy. It's getting easier for the consumer because of the education out there to identify the real brands versus the ones that are just marketing CBD, and they're happy to come and go. They're happy to go as quickly as they can because they're just there to make a few dollars.
Hmm. Yeah, I do think that the CBD startup, has been very complicated by the regulatory ambiguities, and it's just like the banking and the credit card processing and the digital advertising and marketing and pay per click, all those kinds of things are very nuanced. And I guess, the one thing that I can say as far as a piece of advice for anybody that's getting into the business is, do not name yourself, ABC CBD company. You need to be, um, you know, uh, ABC Wellness Company or Botanicals or something, because that's really where the industry's going.
Exactly. And until the Safe Baking Act is cleared and good to go, just keep CBD out of your name in general. We are going to have a little presentation in the very near future on the Safe Banking Act with some call to actions, because that is one part of the industry where we could definitely use a little clarification, and we need some accomplishments there. But that's a whole nother conversation. I want to talk about, from your perspective, you have an upper hand. You know the pulse and the direction of this industry. Also, from your perspective, and you're surrounded by so many experts. Where do you see the hemp industry going? Whoops. Where do you see the hemp industry going for the betterment, and also some of the mistakes that we may be heading towards?
Sure. So I have some predictions for the industry, and I would say I'm reasonably opinionated, and so you may or may not like my predictions, but I try to tell it like it is. Before I give you my predictions, I just want to step back 1 second since you mentioned the Safe Banking Act. We also have, for all of our alumni, and we have membership where there's a free membership. You can always join for free and become an alumni, but we have ongoing webinars and master classes that are free to our alumni. And we do have one coming up, which is about creating a beautiful and compliant label for your
Whoa.
products. And so, like the Safe
Wow.
Banking Act, we have lots of different things you can check out on our website under the events tab. Lots of different free events. We have one coming up on CBD for anxiety. And I don't know about you, but after a year of this crazy times, I think a lot of people, myself included, are taking more CBD to mellow out.
Oh my gosh. I was going to mention that you had that CBD for anxiety class coming up. It's so important because we don't even realize, and I'm speaking from my own personal experience, how anxious and overwhelmed and stressed we are until we get, some of that resilience back. When I started taking CBD, I thought I was pretty resilient to the stress, although I had anxiety and overwhelm and withdrawal. I thought it was normal until I started taking CBD, and I would witness myself going, normally I would act like this and be bottomed out, and, you know, just feeling like, oh, that contraction. And with CBD, it really brought in that resilience to the fight and flight response. And I think it's very important that most people acknowledge the fact that you may not even know how stressed you are, and that anxiety is from chronic stress, unresolved stress. And anxiety increases all causes of death by 69%. It is a big deal.
That's incredible.
It's incredible. And anyone from a mom to a single person to a man to a business person can understand and have a little bit more empathy for the ourselves and for the people around us, even our employees, when we understand and have solutions for anxiety, because covering it up isn't going to help either. Medicating, I'm not a fan of either.
Yeah, being clear of mind is important. So
Yeah.
the three predictions that I have for the industry, that I just jotted down, knowing that this could be one of your questions. And I talk to a lot of people, and they always ask me, what's the future of the industry? And so I think first we're in this kind of bridge where we're seeing what used to be a standard CBD tincture or gummy or gel cap being much more richer in other cannabinoids and more full spectrum and more terpenes. And so you're seeing this may be the year of CBG, or CBN. There's a lot of sleep tinctures or dream tinctures out there now incorporating CBN and CBC, and there's lots more coming there, over 100 cannabinoids in the plant. So expect to see that there'll be continued kind of expansion of the cannabinoids beyond CBD. And also think of CBD as an ingredient, not an industry, right? It's really an ingredient. And so then, you add in other cannabinoids and terpenes and flavonoids and phytonutrients, and they're all from the cannabis plant. So the second prediction is then, if you hear any background noise, that's Rosie, my dog, who wants to come into my office. So sorry about that. And the second prediction is really kind of an expansion of that, where the CBD industry basically morphs into and becomes part of the more global natural products industry. And we've seen that already. If any of you have either been to or heard about the natural products East and West shows, um, the last one that I went to, which was the year before 2019, because last year there basically wasn't too many, there were not too many live conferences, but the Natural Products Show had a hemp pavilion in late 2019. And so you can just imagine, that will get bigger and bigger, and ultimately it will probably take over the show, and there'll no longer be a hemp pavilion because all the booths will have a product with hemp infused into their original formulation. And so we're just seeing this kind of merging, and you're seeing lots of other compounds besides cannabis derived compounds like melatonin, like camphor and menthol and other types of compounds. um, I think that one of the other things that we're beginning to see, and you don't really see it, and you probably won't see a lot of big announcements about it, um, is the synthetic uh, molecules coming on board, not just from China, but here produced domestically. Because one of the things, anybody that's in the business, deep in the business, and if you understand the cultivation side, there are a lot of challenges on the cultivation side. And if anybody ever wanted, and I get investment proposals all the time, if anybody ever wanted me to invest in a farm, forget about it. You know, there are bugs, there's earthquakes, floods, hurricanes. I talked to a guy, 40% of his crop lost to a hurricane, another guy, another flood, too much sun to not enough sun, just so many different, I think there
Fires.
was like more than half of the hemp crop in 2019 never got pulled out of the ground because of labor issues. So there, among other issues, early freezes. So in any event, the synthetic uh, progression towards synthetic is appealing to a lot of people in the industry, especially I'd say the third prediction I have is kind of this wave of big pharma and big tobacco and big alcohol. I mean, we're seeing it already. There have been lots of noises, certainly big retail. I mean, you can find CBD almost everywhere these days.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this, going back to Brightfield Group, the largest percentage of sales of their sales last year, 38% came from e-commerce. So that is encouraging for a lot of people that are trying to build an e-commerce business. And it's not a big surprise, right? E-commerce sales were pretty strong last year overall. And right behind e-commerce were pharmacies, CBD specialty retail shops, and natural product stores.
Wow.
So it's good to hear that it wasn't Nordstrom's and it wasn't CVS. Well, I guess pharmacies is in the CVS is in the pharmacies category, but it wasn't the gas stations. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
scary to think that they're selling CBD at gas stations, you know?
Yeah, I agree. What any predictions on who's buying this? Because I feel like, we know that the maybe the 40, the 60 plus is really, kind of in the buying power because they know what pain is. They know the side effects of prescription drugs. They have arthritis. They have sleeping issues, blah, blah, blah. So do you think there'll be any kind of shift in buying power when it comes to this industry as a whole?
I think that's an awesome question. And for anybody in the industry, it's critically important to know that. Um, the millennials have been very, very strong and aggressively entering the CBD, consumer CBD marketplace. And perhaps that's because they are less interested in big pharma. They're anti, big government or big pharma, big medicine. And so, there's a generalization is that the millennials, are have, challenged by anxiety related issues, and the baby boomers are challenged by, pain or chronic pain or the aging things that you had mentioned. And so I think that the millennials have been very strong. I think that will continue. I think that the boomers will continue to grow. I think that the silver tsunami is, has just begun. I mean, I can tell you some data points from a session that I attended for this longevity conference earlier today. Uh, in 2020, there were 1 billion people around the world that were 60 plus. Within 8 years, that will double to 2 billion. And by the end of the century, in 80 years, that'll be 3 billion people 60 plus in age. And what's really interesting, and I think that what can drive the adoption of CBD is listen to this statistic that in 2002, 20% of the workforce was made up of people between 65 and 74. That's about 20 years ago, 18 years ago, 19 years ago, 20% of the workforce. Now, within a short period of time, 18 years, that has gone from 20 to 34% of the workforce is made up of people that are between 65 and 74. So what does that say to you? That means that people want to stay active, they're living longer, they're healthier, they will use products like CBD or products with CBD in it to help them feel more alive and reduce their inflammation and those types of things. So I think both of those target markets are really phenomenal. And I do think that for anybody that's in the industry or getting in the industry or having difficulty in the industry, if I could leave you with one point, is get super duper triple niched into who your target market is that you're focusing on. So Chris, you may recall in our last Inner Circle meeting, we talked about customer personas. Get very, very focused on who it is and develop relationships with your customers, but know exactly who they are, where to find them, why they're using your products, and turn them into lifelong customers and ambassadors that will, spread the word of mouth.
Wow. That really kind of like made the intention complete. Learning changes mindset. And the way to get to a change of mindset is to know who your customers are. And I just want to comment on the formulation thing. I am a real big fan of us going in this direction of having hemp or full spectrum or CBD in formulations because I feel like we are making this shift from reductionist systems only the immune system, only the endocannabinoid system, only the nervous system, only the gut, and we start to use hemp in a formulation, we can really address the homeostasis and the signaling and the repair and the way that it addresses the body. Because one thing that I think is really important for people to always remember is that you can't tell CBD how to work. And when you put it in formulations, you can also get a little bit more bang for your buck, because whether it's essential or omega fatty acids or mushrooms or adaptogens or the melatonin, it's just a nice way to cut down on all the bottles you buy too, which will help ultimately our pocketbooks, the environment, and how our systems really work. They're really meant to all harmonize and function as one big community, not just the gut, not just the hormones, but really getting signaling and communication so that we can figure out what normal is. Because as we know, that is a challenging question.
Yeah, let me just add one point to that, Christy. I think that many companies are layering in lidocaine, menthol, melatonin, because those are FDA regulated compounds and it allows you to make different kinds of medical claims. And with the gray area, as discussed earlier with the FDA, and I do think that we'll see more guidance from the FDA. It's going to come sometime soon, hopefully. But in the meantime, it does allow manufacturers and marketers to be able to, work around the FDA's lack of guidance and clarity.
Yeah. And they're definitely cutting down on people who are making claims. We see that, monthly, if not weekly, that this company got in trouble and this company got fined because right on their label, there's one big fat claim for a symptom or a condition. And I love that when you can get a trademarked ingredient that's done their work and has the research and you can make a claim. It really is, it's a good thing for this industry. Um, Gosh, I think it's almost time to wrap up. You got to how to grow your business, start a brand, this know your target market. I think that's huge because when CBD and hemp and the endocannabinoid system can reach so many systems, it's easy to think, well, we'll just be a hemp company. But I love the idea and the advice of really target in on something. Because it's hard to cast a wide net and then like, why aren't people showing up? Well, you're not talking to their needs. You're not fulfilling a solution or that pain point for them.
Yeah, yeah, and before you wrap up, I just want to make sure that I let you know that our marketing team created a discount code or a coupon code for any of your audience that wanted to, try some of our courses. It's Christy 20,
Ooh.
and that will save them 20%. So CHRISTY 20. You can use that as a coupon code and a little gift for your audience, your listeners.
I thank you for that. That is a surprise. And I love it because when you go to the CBD Training Academy, so many classes and courses and even certifications that you can get. Dig in whether you have a business or not, because knowing this will help save lives. It will help with prevention. And it's so much easier to keep your health than it is to try to get it back. It's cheaper. It's less expensive to maintain and build your health than it is to get it back. You got to pay for something.
Definitely. Love what you're doing with Hemp Your Health. And I really appreciate your inviting me on, and keep up the good work, Christy.
Thank you, Rick. It is a total pleasure. You also, I'm inspired by education. I think this is where the shift in our health and our trajectory into being a better human individually and as a community, as a family, it really starts with understanding the why and the how. And you've got that covered. You have people here who need this opportunity. We'll put the Christy 20 in the show notes. Everyone who's listening, thank you. Please, please, please. In fact, how do they find you?
You can just visit our website, cbdtrainingacademy.com. Anybody can email me at rdiamond@cbdtrainingacademy.com. Thanks.
That's your homework, everyone. Tune in, find him, and then hemp your health, and see you next week. Thank you, Rick.
Thanks,
What a
Christy.
great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Enjoy. Bye for now.